talk about you can talk about them, you just can't say where.
You know, it's funny. It's like every time I do that, it's like I'm trying not to derail the conversation. Just want to let you know we're going live, and then it's like, what are we talking about now?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you interrupted.
I think too, like there's an interesting, and we can talk about this more as the pod goes on, but like there's a really interesting, and look, just knowing how smart Huxley was, like this is probably on purpose, but there's a really interesting, like, I can't think of the word, dialogue on moderation around Soma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're like a little bit, and it's like a productivity drug.
Yeah.
More, and it's like a euphoria thing, and even more than that, you're like, it's almost like a DMT light,
Yeah,
kind of
I
like
forgot.
you're way fucking out there, you know.
They're on summer vacation.
No, that was interesting. A little bit more, a little bit. It's the tiniest amount. Right there, right there, right there. You're good.
A new camera looks good.
Yeah, thanks, man. Like $30.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still an improvement from the last one. But yeah.
That's what I mean. That's what I was telling you a while back. It was just like, hey, dude, like you can get a real cheap
Yeah.
fucking 4K.
So when I live stream, the quality drops a lot. So I think what I need to do next is get a new computer because it's not the camera.
Bro, Mac Mini, the new Mac Mini with an M4, with the M4 chip, $500, dude.
Really?
$500, and it is like top of the fucking line.
Damn.
If you want to spend 1,200, you can get a lot more storage and whatever else. But
Just for a bit. You just insert streaming. Yeah.
well, do not. So I mean, I bought it with my fantasy football winnings for $600, and then Satoshi maybe. This Japanese company makes like it's like a stand that it sits on.
Okay.
That you can add like up to 4 terabytes of storage, like a hard drive, and adds a bunch of USB ports.
Yeah.
For like $750, I got top line computer with a 4 terabyte hard drive.
That's awesome. Like, yeah, I mean, definitely can't really beat that.
Dude,
Like, usually, yeah, talking about like high-end computers, you're like up into the thousands pretty easily.
well, that's why I didn't get a laptop, like an Apple laptop too, is because like for the same exact everything, it was like 4 times expensive.
Okay.
So if I can still bring it places. I just have to be able to plug it in.
Yeah.
I have a portable monitor about as big as that.
Yeah, I think there's also like I had laptops for a while, but I'm like I actually don't bring my computer with me places, like hardly ever.
No, I know.
So like it's not really like it's one of the things I was like, isn't it cool that you can do this? It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like
It's cool before smartphones.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, even that way with like game systems, like Game Boy stuff, like it's cool. And then it's like, yeah, have you ever tried it?
Yeah.
And then I think how much stuff do you want to like put in your pockets and bring it back?
Yeah.
Like, nah.
I don't really.
I'm not like I even with having a phone on me all the time, I don't usually like not like I need to be playing games. Like, well, a lot of times you can just go out and if you're going someplace, you're doing something there, you're chilling. And not really like that big of a deal to
No.
but like no, like oh I need to do something on the computer. Like yeah, I can do that when I get home.
Yeah.
It's not really that big of a
Precisely. Part of why I like having my Mac too is because like I'm a dipshit with computers. Without Vicky, I'd smash it with a hammer. And like, yeah, I can literally text people from my computer. It's a Mac. I got an iPhone.
okay.
Bang notes in here to like write lyrics. I get home and it's there.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just like seamlessly. All of my shit is just in the whatever place I need it.
Anyone anything to drink?
I got a bowl of water. Okay. Veterans, just like.
Yeah. Right behind you, grab some water.
Oh, it's ready that up himself. He pre-readied the water.
I'm a professional readier. I work at the readiness factory.
Some bread.
Can I interest you in any ready?
Ooh, over.
After that, for your shot.
Oh, water. I'm not ready for that. Right? Yeah, that's why you need it. Is that creatine?
It's creatine and collagen peptides.
Nice. Yeah, man, I really like that creatine.
Yeah, apparently it's like the highest quality. Yeah.
Hey Connor, do you guys plan to do more clown stuff in the future?
With Winton,
Yeah, with Winton.
we have a clown video coming out.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
I think every year at Halloween, we're gonna do System of a Clown.
Okay.
Alex, go ahead, John,
Yeah, you're good, man.
For this year, I want to help you guys out. I can walk on stilts.
really.
Yeah, just to do a bit.
I mean, dude, talk to Winton, like, I'm sure he would love that. He's pretty down to clown, if you will.
Now I won't be there for the whole show. I don't want to be on stilts for a whole show, but at least maybe in the introduction we can do some wacky little bit or whatever. But I know Winton loves fucking theatrics and shit.
Yeah, he does. Anybody wanna?
I'm good. I'll wait till after.
Doing memento.
Vicky,
Hello.
Oh,
How's it going?
it's good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Connor just stepped out for a second. He'll be back.
we
Nice.
promised you. We didn't hide him.
We're waiting on a couple more to trickle in, and then we'll get started.
Let's get restarted. What's up, babe?
Hi, babe.
Are you in your office?
Yeah.
Noise, smart.
The desktop does not have a webcam.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I guess we should rectify that.
We'll give everyone to like 8:05, and then we'll get started.
Cool.
So Vicky, was this your first time reading it?
What?
Your first time reading it?
No, I read it once for school and thought it was okay. And then I reread it like a year ago and found it a lot more interesting the second time around.
Yeah, I was
pleasantly surprised. I had a misconception about what this book was.
What did you think it was?
I was thinking it was going to be more sci-fi and less what do you
Like
say?
social engineering?
Yeah, like the social engineering stuff. I didn't realize it was mostly about like the relationships between people rather than like people's relationship with technology. Like all of that's present, but that's kind of like just the setting for the story. That makes sense. Like there is a lot of tech stuff and commentary about tech, but that's not the focus. It's more about where the relationships between people and how people will be, I guess. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Absolutely. Sorry.
Well, like,
We'll do better during the actual.
Yeah, I was more like, how much should we just start talking about it?
Yeah, we can go ahead and start. So this is the 48th monthly consecutive book club. Thanks everyone for coming.
hell yeah.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Connor picked this one.
I sure did.
Mr. Spillane to my left recommended Brave New World yeah, that's what we're doing. We're discussing Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I'm gonna go grab your book.
Oh yeah, right.
This book. Great cover.
That's a cool cover.
Yeah.
It
That is
is
cool
such a
cover.
cool cover. So yeah, I just I guess in my mind I got 1984 in this kind of confused, you know, because I haven't read 1984 either.
You also have ideas of that?
Yeah, but like I feel like those books come up in the same kinds of conversations. So in my mind, they're like the same book basically until I read Brave New World, which we should do 1984 at some point too. I get the feeling it's not going to be as good as this one though.
I don't know. I like 1984 as well.
I feel like I've read parts of 1984. I feel like I've started it a couple times and never finished it. I mean, look, I know this is part of how I started bringing up Brave New World to you. Was like Aldous Huxley's letter to George Orwell, which I should have found before the pod. Fucking idiot.
You want me to find it?
I'm gonna pull
Your
it up. The basic gist. I don't think it's long, so when I find it, I will read it. The basic gist is like when 1984 came out, because 1984 came out much later than this.
Yeah,
which is the 60s.
I think so.
So Aldous Huxley read 1984 and wrote George Orwell a letter about it.
Yeah, you missed the part. He's saying you missed the part where people are going to do this to themselves.
Well,
basically.
he was like, "Hey, this is a great story. I really enjoyed the book. However, you have a crucial detail just wrong. Like you got something very incorrect." He's like, "There will be no boot on neck. People will happily sign up for their chains. They'll wait in line. They'll be complicit in their being controlled, because at the end of the day, like, you know, look at Germany is a great example, right? Like you always hear historians be like, Germany wants a strong leader, you know.
Yeah,
And people want to be told what to do because it's easier. It's easier than having to think.
yeah.
And that was kind of Huxley's point.
It's not like Orwell frames it like us versus them, and Huxley is like it's like no, you're going to go along with this basically.
People will go, yeah. And happily.
Well, the problem with Orwell is that it's so much easier to oppose a government that way, a government that's set up that way. While in this world, it's like no one's even trying to oppose it. Like
it's self. They're all enforcing it.
Yeah.
It's like communism, right? Like when if you were to, you know, like some of the characters in the book, when they're starting to question, like, what are we doing? They're immediately ostracized and told like, yo, shut the fuck up. Like this is not all right. So Huxley's letter to George Orwell. Dear Mr. Orwell, it was very kind of you to tell your publishers to send me a copy of your book. It arrived as I was in the midst of a piece of work that required much reading and consulting of references. And since poor sight makes it necessary for me to ration my reading, I had to wait a long time before I was able to embark on 1984. Agreeing with all the critics have written of it, I need not tell you. Yet once more, how fine and profoundly important this book is. May I speak instead of the thing which the book deals, the ultimate revolution. The first hints of philosophy, the ultimate, okay, this is a lot longer than I thought it was. That's a bummer.
This is the second book of the
Yeah, exactly. Basically, he's just saying like, hey, great story. You've just gotten it all backwards. My hellish landscape prophecy is better than yours. Here's why.
Yeah. Before I forget and we get any deeper into it, anyone want to plug anything? Any shows coming up or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Winton Existing has a show at the Basement on March 7th. I think for the first time, actually, in my experience with the Basement, we're the early show. We're from 7:30 to 9. I think Winton's probably playing second, but I could be wrong about that. So come out and hang. OG Basement, March 7th, Winton Existing, and I forget the other band because I'm a bad person.
That's the new guitar player's birthday, right?
Yes, Jake's birthday.
Yeah. Oh, in perfect timing. Yeah, Cassette Stress joining us.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, also we're doing Bunny Roo, the third Bunny Roo, April 3rd at Eastside Bowl in the 58 room. So come out for that. We got a really great lineup. And I'm turning 30, so you can come.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice.
Celebrate that. Yeah. Also, I just ordered a bunch of t-shirts. So if you want a rabbit hole t-shirt, you can pick one up there also. And with impeccable timing, we have Mr. Hyatt Collins of Cassette Stress joining us
Hey.
in here.
How are y'all?
Doing good, man. Good to see
What's
you.
up, buddy?
Good to see y'all. Nothing much. I have that shirt, Alex. It's a good
Hell
shirt.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's the same design. We just got some more printed. You got anything you want to plug, Hyatt?
Yeah, got several things. Got our first show back coming up on March 21st, Saturday, with Chelsea Motel, Decay, and the fourth band. I'll have to look this up.
I said the same thing.
Played before. But anyway, so got that. Also got a new tune coming out tomorrow. And then we're gonna be announcing tour dates for the summer and later spring, in a few days, maybe Friday, maybe early next week. Because I want to get some of the last things figured out.
That's exciting. Can't wait to hear new music.
Can't wait to play it for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hi, when you said first show back, did you injure yourself or did Liz injure herself?
Yeah, I broke my wrist in October.
Whoa. What happened?
I'm a dumbass. I was running. I was just out for a run and I tripped
Oh.
and just landed like both hands out. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was a bummer. But, we're back. So all worked out.
Well, very much looking forward to seeing what you've been cooking. I know you've been writing a lot in that period. So
Yeah. Thanks, man. Excited.
yeah, absolutely. And if you're unaware, Lazy Phalanges does a movie podcast that he hosts that we do once a month also. Getting a phone call I'm going to ignore. Do you want to say what we're watching next month?
Sure. Next month we are doing Rango, selected by Evan Carpenter.
Yeah. Evan does another podcast on this channel, Behind the Curtain. So I've never seen Rango. I know it's an animated film about a lizard. That's all I know.
What is it? Rango?
Yeah. Rango Unchained. Well, I guess
Oh, with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Yes, the Johnny Depp one.
The
Okay.
Western.
If we don't have any more plugs, we can go ahead and get started. So, what was I about to say? I was literally just about to say something. Well, it'll come back to me, I guess. Does anyone else want to say something while I think about what I was about to say?
Is it about the book or?
Yeah, it was. Oh, I remember now. I'm here with all of my favorite gammas tonight. I guess we can start with that. So I think it's funny. I saw something recently. It's like the whole alpha male, beta male thing that's not real because that's not how animals work. It's like, well, yeah, it's not a reference to the animal kingdom. It's a reference to Brave New World.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Because like the thing I was reading, it's like that's not actually how like a wolf pack works, like or like even chimps. And it's like, well, yeah, it's because when people throw those words around, it's not a reference to the animal kingdom; it's a reference to this book. Yeah, oddly prophetic for a book that is what do you say, 92 years old?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it was 1934 is when it was published.
That's crazy.
Which means it was probably written.
Oh, February 4th, 1932.
1932. There you go. So no, it is 94 years. 94 years when it was published. Yeah.
But it's like perfect for February.
Yeah.
And we can get into more of this later, but when we first talked about doing this, you had told me that Huxley might have had some information about like New World Order agenda stuff because of his dad.
Yeah. So I believe his father was part of like the first New World Order Council in probably the 20s, maybe before then. Boy, I wish Loney was here because he'd be able to tell us exactly when that happened. I would think. So like I've heard some other folks talk about like, hey, like I think Josh seems to think that like this book is kind of what Huxley had accrued from hanging out with his dad and some of his dads, because I believe his father was a professor. And so, you know, like he had run with some interesting circles. And so some of this is like actually how, you know, some of the first New World Order get-togethers wanted the world to work, you know? And like a lot of this stuff, you know, it's almost like a much more eloquent idiocracy, right?
Yeah.
It's prophetic in that same way. We're like, the further we get from this book being published, the truer some of the stuff is, even though like, even in that like some of those interviews I saw of him on TV in the 50s, right? Like there's some stuff on YouTube. He's talking about propaganda techniques as it refers to advertising and the like, and like how effective some of that stuff can be, especially in terms of political elections, etc. You know, now we have the hive mind that makes all this stuff like so much easier to implement in ways that he couldn't have thought of, even though he kind of nailed it.
Yeah. Something else I noticed too is the people in this story have no survival instincts at all.
They don't have to.
They don't have to, but they don't even have the instinct. Not only do they not have survival instincts, they don't even have the instinct to survive in the first place. That's not an imperative, right? Because they willfully or willingly will go to their death knowing that that's going to happen. And they're just kind of okay with it because of the conditioning, which is like, it's a weird thing to like, I guess what I'm saying is I feel the same way about this book that I do about Wizard of Oz, which is compared to something like Game of Thrones, where it feels like you are getting a window into an entire world. Like you can feel that there's a world outside of what you're reading. Wizard of Oz is kind of the opposite. where you get the impression that all that exists is what's on the page that you're reading, right? I feel the same way about Brave New World, where I don't see the larger world. All I see is what's being shown. It's more allegorical than like world building, like a Tolkien kind of thing. It's more Wizard of Oz. Because I have a lot of questions about how this world actually functions, which a lot of them are resolved in the last conversation that the Savage has with the controller. That answers a lot of those questions. But it's still kind of like, I guess it only works because it's the entire world. Because if there was any invading force, these people are just like massive pushovers. Even the alphas in the story are really stupid, right? And it's like that's kind of the baseline.
Rather than stupid, like they've almost like specialized away logic and reason. Right? Like everyone is so specialized and they're bred to be specialized so that they can, each group can maintain a very complicated existence, so much so that they almost have blinders on. So it's not that they're like, yes, the end result is that they're almost feeble-minded in their own way, right?
Yeah,
That's my take on
They
it.
kind of touch on that with the Savage's mom, where he asked her questions about how things work, and she's like, "Well, I don't know. I wasn't part of that."
Exactly.
She only knows her one little
Yep.
thing she does.
Yeah, it's very segmented in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, but like if the tech is like strong enough, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like someone could have like an in-home like job where they're just working on a computer. And now in our society, they don't even have to go out to get groceries or food or anything. They just can be completely here and not even know, like, they could be like the smartest person in like the work they're doing on their computer, but not know like how to bring their own food or like do anything.
Or much less how the computer itself works.
Yeah. That's a good point. Is like we all use this technology, but most of us don't know we couldn't build it, you know. It's kind of like that allegory. It's like if you're in the woods, dropped in the middle of the woods, how long does it take you to build a computer? You know.
Well, it's also why I think it's so interesting when he talks to the controller about how in their society they have to believe that what's old is bad, so that they never try to go back to it. But they also can't move into anything new.
It's anti-progress. Yeah.
Because that would upset the whole balance of the society. Because nobody actually knows how anything really works, so it has to stay exactly the same the whole time.
Well, like the part of that is like, well, we've already reached the pinnacle. We are currently in the pinnacle, so progress is irrelevant, and you're not allowed to go backwards.
Yeah. I was shocked to find out that I guess going into this book, because I'd never read it before this, I thought there was going to be more of an emphasis on the technology, kind of like almost like a Ted Kaczynski, like anti-technology, like technology is bad. That's not exactly what this is, right? Like there is sci-fi tech stuff, but that's kind of just the setting to tell the story that he's telling, and it's more about society and how people interact with each other. And something else I noticed too is there's very little guardrails on their world. Like there's not a lot stopping people from doing something different except social pressure, right? Because it's like, what is it? Bernard goes to the reservation, but nothing really like that. The way it's presented is like that's almost an oddity. Like that's not something people typically do, right? So it's like they don't really. I guess they do have a police force that shows up at the end.
Yeah.
So they're, which implies crime.
Yeah, but the police don't carry guns. They carry like little liquid guns that just give you like
Squirt guns.
Yeah, they just squirt you with like tranquilizer, which implies like they don't experience actual real crime.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I think Huxley is trying to tell us it's like there's no like man with a gun enforcing all of this. It's society enforcing it upon itself. And for the most part in this world, it actually functions that way. There's plenty of examples in the story of where that's not the case. Like people are not happy with the way things are. We see that with several of the characters, but the implication is for the most part, that's not the case and people are okay with it.
Yeah, most people are happy.
Yeah.
But that's the most dangerous part of this future is that technically everyone's productive, everyone's happy, everyone's like everything's stable. There's no crime. People aren't feeling bad.
I kind of wonder about that though, because while that seems to be stated, it's always claimed by people like the controller, and yet any character that you actually spend any time with expresses some amount of doubt.
Mm.
And even the conversation early on between I forget their names, but the two ladies were the ones explaining that she doesn't want to be with other men, and the other one's like, no, like that's kind of ridiculous. But then she goes on to say that sometimes she doesn't feel like being with anyone at all, and they're like, yeah, like I can relate to, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Or like even that person that it seemed like was supposed to represent the like not questioning one, even she was a little bit reluctant. Like, yeah, sometimes things aren't that great actually.
Yeah.
So like, there's never really a character that ever is like, no, I love it. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I mean, think about like think about like during COVID, you had major swaths of society that like didn't want to believe that we were just like, getting fucked really bad.
Yeah.
To the point that like that idea was almost predicated by the people around you rather than direct propaganda. It wasn't like there was a ton of direct propaganda, but it was almost like enforced by the people in your life, like treating you like a leper if you felt differently. You know what I mean? It's almost it's that same idea of like, we're not happy either.
Yeah, that's kind of the sense I got. It's sort of like there's this sort of endless social enforcement, so no one steps out of line, but at an individual level, no one actually likes this exactly.
They're just complicit because
they're all just complicit because they don't want to get kicked out.
Yeah, and they literally don't know anything other than what has been given them on silver platter. They've never had to figure anything out. They just inherited every part of their life because of their conditioning before they were even born.
Yeah. Once even to like, if you ever experience any pain, take your drugs.
Yep.
Like anytime someone starts to feel like something's wrong, take your drugs.
Which is, again, to me, like,
it's like
one of the more prophetic parts of the book.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I found it so fascinating. That's why I couldn't believe you hadn't read it. I'm like, dude, this is the whole thing.
Yeah, everyone's extremely medicated, and I've been thinking about this for days about how to word this, and I still haven't really figured that out. So maybe you guys can help me here. But like when John is talking to, what's the woman he's interested in? Can't remember her name. Lenina, yeah. Basically, he is expressing his love to her. And she's like, oh, well, why didn't you say that sooner? And just immediately starts taking off her clothes. And he's like repulsed by this. And this isn't like exactly what Huxley's saying, but what it reminded me of is kind of like the very modern story of, it's like dude's interested in a chick and he's like simping out really hard and just like, I love you, and just like bombarding her with affection. And she doesn't see him that way. And like in Brave New World, everyone belongs to everyone. So it's kind of like, this is kind of a subconscious thing. It's not exactly stated in the allegory I'm giving or in Brave New World, but it's kind of like the modern person I'm talking about, and also what's her name? Lenina. They she doesn't respect him, because if you are that interested and engaged with me, and I belong to everyone, then I have a lesser opinion of you. Does that make, am I making any sense?
Yeah, you're trying to take ownership over something that doesn't really belong to you, and it's
Yeah.
not how this society works, and it's gross.
And plus, I also think she's she's incapable of love. I don't think she
Yeah.
even understands the concept of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, like, if it's the scene, I think you're talking about where he talks about like one like sweep or something just to show that he loves her.
Yeah.
He's literally trying to explain to her like in love languages would be an act of service. So he's trying to explain how to communicate love to someone, that he wants to express to her that he loves her, but she doesn't really get it
Well, she doesn't.
Yeah.
She doesn't
because she
understand
doesn't
that.
really understand what love is.
She doesn't understand what sacrifice is. He's trying to explain that love is like sacrifice and that it involves some pain, that he's willing to do that for her. But she's like, we live in a society where we don't have to sacrifice. We don't have to put ourselves like in danger. Like a society like this, falling in love with someone can lead to pain. That's why they don't want it. Having family ties can lead to pain because you can disappoint them or you can fall out of love or this or that. That's why they don't want that. They want everything to be temporary so you get the gratitude, like the kind of person who jumps from person to person but doesn't stay long enough to get like in pain or whatever.
Well, part of what you're saying, right, is due to like if you're really depressed because this man or woman you love doesn't love you back, you're no longer a productive member of society at that point either. You're no longer a productive worker. Like part of this whole philosophical idea is that like you are a consumer, you are a worker, you are supposed to do exactly what you're supposed to, you're supposed to do it all the time. And so the way that we achieve that is by taking away all discomfort and all responsibilities so that you are unentangled to then go about doing what it is that you need to do inside of society.
And I guess this is the split from where what Huxley's saying and what it kind of just got me thinking about. This is where that like deviates, because this is not exactly what Huxley's saying. But I guess what I mean is if she's not really like, she's sleeping with other dudes and this dude's just throwing himself at her and she doesn't like, you know, maybe she's interested in having casual sex with him, but she's not interested in romance or maybe doesn't even understand the concept. It's like, if you're disinvested in me and I'm treating you like shit, I kind of look down on you, right? Is that
100%.
Yeah.
And not even like
I don't think she did though, but I think the culture she's in does.
Yeah. And
I think that's kind of a distinction that
I don't really know where I'm going with this. It's just, that's what it got me thinking about that's not exactly what he prophesied, but that's what happens a lot of the time in our society, I guess.
Well, it's like Prozac. You've taken away the highs and the lows. You know what I mean? You're even keeled enough. And I mean, like, dude, to me, things like Prozac and stuff like that. I mean, part of the existence of those drugs is touching on a point I made a moment ago, like to keep you a productive member of society so that you shut up and go to work, consume, produce. That's what you're here to do. And in the eyes of the people that are selling you this shit. I mean, it's a lot of the same with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've taken away the pain of human interaction that David kind of talked about.
I was also surprised by just the amount of like double speak and all the little sayings they have. Like they have that little saying about basically don't try and fix your clothes, just buy new clothes. They have a little saying about Soma and like little songs and things they do.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that, and I thought all that was really interesting.
That's actually super important, especially in the time period where he made it. Back then, clothing or whatever, you would go to tailors or like there were like shoe cobblers. Whenever your clothes was falling apart, you go to a place to fix it up. And like even technology back then, the focus of building something like a machine is you're building things to last. The issue is, I think there was like around the 50s or 60s, they realized the problem with building things that last is customers don't return to you, or they only buy parts, they don't buy new things. it's kind of like with more modern iPhones and stuff, like you're not actually allowed to like,
Planned obsolescence.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to take apart your tech and fix it. That voids a lot of shit. They just want you to keep like replacing it over and over.
Hmm.
It's like,
There's no market in making a one-time product. Yeah. I mean, medicine's like that too, right? It's like, we're not gonna fix this. We're gonna make you a
Customer.
lifelong customer.
or like
Yeah.
why, or how everything now is in a subscription or like renting or like, it's just a way to keep company stuff into something, but you don't really, they don't want you to own the stuff.
Because they're not trying to necessarily fix your problem. They're trying to change your perception so that it's not a problem anymore. We've changed your perception, like y'all been talking about with this book, right? Like that their perception of their own reality. Like it's not that reality is necessarily different. It's just the propaganda has changed their reality, and the way that they're conditioned before birth has changed their perception of reality. Where it's like, you know, you're not really sad anymore because of this drug. We haven't fixed your problems, but you're not sad anymore. We just change your perspective. You know,
Yeah.
If we didn't fix anything, you just don't care about it anymore.
exactly. And now we've created a customer because in order to not care. Go ahead.
But what?
I
I
think,
think,
Sorry.
our
I was
audio
call-
coming back to.
Oh.
no, no,
I heard I think, and I was like, yes.
No, I think I was just calling. Yeah. One thing I thought, going back to the point about the little phrases, one thing that was interesting about that to me was that you find that kind of stuff in cults a lot. They call them thought terminating cliches, where it's a phrase that everyone's supposed to say that ends the discussion about that item. Um, and that, I mean, this book compared to 1984 is really interesting because you've got like 1984 is kind of, I mean, they're both these sort of dystopian totalitarian societies, but 1984 is very much the external control, and this is sort of the ultimate example of external control. And this book is very much the internal control down to, you know, things that people say to themselves. I mean, that kind of having both of those books is, side by side is an interesting comparison and two different ways to implement
yeah.
basically a totalist society. But yeah, I don't know how connected that was to what we're talking about, but
Hi, we talked about it earlier, but do you know like the relationship between Huxley and George Orwell?
not really, no. Mm-mm.
Huxley, okay, I hate to repeat this. Huxley wrote Orwell a letter when 1984 came out, saying like, "Hey, great story, but like you have a crucial detail incorrect, which is like there will be no boot on neck. Like people will happily sign up and wait in line even for their chains, and they'll be really happy about it. It's complacency, the chains of complacency, right? Like you need people to be complicit on some level to be able to implement totalitarianism, right?
Yeah.
That was Huxley's point. He's
Yeah.
like, hey, Orwell, like you're not gonna have boots on people's necks. That will never work over a long period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, if you got the control internal, there's nothing to rebel against because there's no big brother to fight against, and it's a lot easier to keep a counter revolution from happening if everyone's sort of bought into it. It's not there's one enemy. Everyone thinks that they're the enemy if they have the um
Divergent thoughts.
yeah the thought that if they don't like the society.
Yeah. The way it manifests is a contrast between like the us versus them. I haven't read 1984, but I've read Animal Farm, which is kind of a similar concept, right? Where it's people versus oppression, whereas Brave New World is the people doing it to themselves. But if you pull back a little bit, people didn't exactly choose that for themselves, right? Isn't there like the controller talks about there was a 9-year war with like basically science progressed to a point and there was war and people chose this way of life over freedom, but that's also that there was an influence there's a boot on a neck in order to influence that decision in the first place. So it is still like oppression of the system. What's, I guess, the difference would be Brave New World is further ahead. So maybe you could say like 1984 leads into Brave New World, maybe. Like if it was Brave New World, but like maybe 300 years prior, it looks more like an oppressive system versus its people, until people eventually get used to it. And that makes me think of something else too, is like the people who would have set this thing in motion have all died. And this is generations of people after. So you imagine like you have a world leader, like some kind of dictator that puts a system in place, and he's really he's evil, but he's like really intelligent. Well, and also sees himself as sort of like separated and above it. But it's like Brave New World is like, these are the generational Nepo babies of those people, and they're part of the system also. So even the controller is like, he is kind of in control of it, but I mean, he's also a product of it himself. You know?
Do you know the experiment with like the monkeys? I think it's monkeys, where they have like this group of monkeys, and there's like something that they put on a ladder. And then for the first generation of monkeys, like anytime one of the monkeys would like come up, they would like shock them. And so eventually it became like a thing that if any monkey tried to climb up, like the rest of the monkeys would stop them. And then as the generations of monkeys progressed, they like stopped shocking them, but it maintained that rule that like if you try to climb up the ladder, the rest of the monkeys would like prevent you from doing it, even though like they were not being shocked anymore.
Wow.
As to your point of like maintaining the status quo, even though there's like no repercussions, because that's how it's always been. And like the new monkeys, they don't even know why they're doing it. They're just doing it because that's how they were taught to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, look, and I think that's a really interesting point for a couple reasons. Because A, like that's generational trauma, right? I mean, they think like there's really interesting DNA studies that think that like, hey, a lot more than we're giving credit to is actually genetic, right? All kinds of your behaviors are actually are genetic. However, I'll say about Brave New World, like, haven't they kind of done away with that a little bit because of the fact that they're all genetically engineered? You know what I mean? Like they still need eggs. So like, yeah, I would imagine that like to some extent what you're saying is absolutely can still be true, right? But they're all kind of like they kind of propagate this world with very few people potentially, right? Like because they're splitting these eggs, what I get up to like 96 times, I think was the what's the somethinification? Fuck.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's in the very beginning of the book. Where they like, you know, split somebody's egg into 96 identical eggs to make 96 people out of one human egg.
Yeah.
Somethinification, I forget. But
there's like no genetic differences between people. They're like one of a couple of batches.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Actually, are they all the same person, and what the differences are is like I guess what I'm saying is the difference between the alpha and the gamma, that the gamma was given like alcohol and like certain
yes. It's a series of different exposures.
Okay, but they're like the same they're clones of the same person.
Well, they're limited because they can only do it so far. I think, like you said, there's like a limit of like 90
I think
something.
it's
But
96.
they don't split the alpha eggs.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned that in the beginning.
They're mass
Okay.
producing the crap people that are just gonna work in factories or whatever.
Interesting. So the alphas are born in test tubes, but they're not
But
like one of 90.
Yeah,
Yes.
so the
Okay.
alphas don't have twins, whereas the other ones, you have like I'm saying, like up to 96 identical twins.
Like
Yeah,
they never stated outright, but it makes sense. Like if you're thinking about factory work, you want to have the same worker and the same output and the same whatever and whatever, but you don't really need that for leadership roles. They're allowed to be slightly more individual, and I think that's even part of like the way they're raised. Their alphas are raised to be slightly more individual. Like they don't get put through as much like conditioning as like the lower classes. Because like with what Vicky was saying, with a lot of the lower classes, they literally shock them. Like they're shocked, so they hate nature, so they don't have like a will to want to go out and like, do other stuff.
Yeah.
Bakanovsky's process.
Yeah. I just found it too on page 6. Bakanov.
Skification.
Yeah, Bakanovskification.
I do think, to Vicky's point though, that can be just a learned thing that's
Yes.
passed down also.
Societal.
So it's like
trauma.
there's a societal trauma
Yep.
of like, we never go up that ladder. That's what we've been taught.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a genetic.
I mean that definitely applies to the whole like their fear of mothers and fathers, and like
The
they probably heard other people reacting all disgusted and shocked, and that's just like a learned thing now.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, you know, they've made it like more than just passe to like have children naturally. Like it's just not done.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of humor in it too. Like the older woman telling the younger woman to be promiscuous, and like being selective is like, that's bad, is like really funny, especially in the context of like the 30s, where it's like society is not like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Huxley's really funny. I guess something else we should talk about too, the type of movies they watch. That's also super prophetic. Like they have like what do they call it? The emotion. It's like
Feelies.
Oh, the feelings. Yeah.
yeah, the feelings.
Where their movies don't really have messages.
Yeah, they even get into like there's an art to telling a coherent story with as little as possible.
Yeah.
Because we don't want it to have substance, but we want it to elicit emotion. Kind of like they were talking about, they spike everyone's adrenaline every once in a while. That way you still get that, but it's controlled. It's like that, where we want to tell a story, but say as little as possible. And he's like, there's an art to it.
I mean, that's reels right now. Like,
Yeah,
like shorts or like,
It's like any movie's coming out.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing here.
and none of them are gonna hold like 20 years from now the way some older movies
Yeah.
do. Like no one's gonna be talking about them.
Yeah.
It's like my son, what have you done? You feel things, but you're like, there's nothing here.
Nothing has happened. Hi, we watched actually February was my movie pick and my book pick. I love this book. This is like one of the few books because I'm not a reader.
Yeah, so you had to pick something you love and something you hate.
Yeah, so I loathe and despise this movie. And I needed a sanity check with my dear confidants to help decide if I was right and this movie sucked, or if I was wrong and I just didn't get it. I was prepared for either outcome.
What was the verdict? Was it good and disturbing? I haven't seen this movie yet. I'll watch it.
Vicky said she'd seen it before with us. She said that this was the longest 90 minutes of her life. Lazy said every scene of the movie was like a really important scene from a different movie.
Huh. Okay.
No, it's a piece of steaming dog shit. But the director is Werner Herzog. The cast is amazing.
The shots are amazing.
The shots are great. David Lynch is a producer on it. Like,
Right.
it has all the makings of like a cool,
Yeah.
Great
art
act.
movie. Great cast.
Yeah. Yeah, it had everything going for it.
Yeah, it really did. And Werner Herzog just spent 90 minutes viciously wasting my time.
Now, the point of that movie is you now know what it's like to watch a movie in a Brave New World.
Yeah.
No, yes. The point of that movie is this is what it's like to have a full-on conversation with a schizophrenic, thinking you're going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, I've really something really interesting to tell you. And 90 minutes goes by and you're like, someone help.
Yeah.
So I've not heard the interesting thing yet.
Yeah. Yeah. David had made that point in the podcast we did on that is there's every scene has this heavy significance. Like everything
It's
is
the
so
way it's shot.
important. Yeah.
But when you dig deeper, it's not there.
It's like nothing happened. Yeah.
It really was like edging with no payoff.
Yeah.
But talking about media or whatever, like I think one thing he was wrong about was he thinks Soma is like what's an elite to this. I actually think it's like reels or like the social media or whatever, and maybe AI stuff is in the future. Like imagine like all the kids that are on their fucking iPads now or whatever.
Yep.
It's like imagine like all these great artists like in the past, like Da Vinci or like fucking Beethoven or whatever. Imagine if you went back in time when they were 3 years old and you gave them an iPad. I don't think they would ever make that art.
Of course not.
You would just kill whatever creativity thing they had in their head. You just kill it by giving them an iPad.
Especially like you guys remember the Spider-Man and Elsa stuff? Remember that? Am I the only one?
The YouTube stuff. Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like it's like a kid's YouTube channel and it's all weird and
I don't even know how to explain it.
Don't.
It's like it's content, but there is nothing there.
there.
It's totally incoherent. And it's like when I was a kid, I was watching like a little kid, I was watching Blue's Clues, like Dora the Explorer. These are educational, like it's content, right?
Yeah, now they have Skippity Toilet. And...
Yeah, it's like it's melting your brain.
Well, now it's about keeping your attention. And so like nothing except those videos are like as interesting. You know what I mean? Like the world is not that stimulating. And so the rest of the world will seem boring because that's just like so dumb and colorful and exciting.
Yeah, it's feelings. It's just all feels but nothing else.
Yeah.
Actually, that's kind of an interesting idea that like great art isn't actually, it's not the part where you're experiencing it, it's the part where you're thinking about it after.
It's like my son, my so happy.
Yeah, that makes a great art.
I mean, look, this is for Hyde's benefit. Like, this is why I wanted to watch this movie with a bunch of people because, like, my point was like, art is supposed to provoke thought and evoke emotion. And my son, what have you done? Did both those things to me. I think about it all the time, and I was mad. I was really mad. But like in the same way, like I could say the exact same thing about Brave New World. Like I think about it all the time, and I'm mad because he's right.
Yeah.
He's right about so many things. He's right about so many things that, like, in 1932, it couldn't possibly be fucking right about, and he is. You know what I mean? Like the Feelies, like Soma, which is Josh's point of like, hey, you know, this guy's family was involved in some of the first New World Order councils. Like he's actually drawing from what he knows to be true. This is the plan, you know?
Yeah. It's
You guys know like Neil Postman's whole like amusing yourself to death thing? Where he like predicted this?
Death by Comfort is the second Karma EP.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, but like that also speaks to these ideas. You know, it's like,
I have that on cassette. I think it's upstairs.
oh yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I mean, that's like why I call that record that, because it's like the same idea as this. It's just like watching all these people in my life, just as Vicky said, like amuse themselves to death. And I'm part of that too. You know, I'm part of our current society, just like anybody else.
Yeah.
And like the crazy thing is like, okay, we're all old enough to know what it was like not to have an iPhone or a smartphone or like, you know, the internet in your pocket. And like it's still so hard. Like it's such a conscious effort, like not to use your phone all the time. And so like I can't imagine being a kid now who's like never experienced not having that, you know?
Yeah.
And like, we're smart enough to understand what's happening, and it like still sucks you in.
Every generation before millennials, reading scores have been like going up and up and up. And it's after millennials, so like the new generations, like everything 2000 and up, all their scores when it comes to reading comprehension have just been like going down for the first time in like modern history.
That's so sad.
Well, look, and a lack of education makes people easy to control.
Mhm.
Going back to this book, right? Like this is part of what Huxley was talking about in that interview I sent you, Alex. Was like he's talking about how effective television. He was saying this about television. Just how effective advertising and television can be used as like radio too, can be used as a propaganda tool. And like some of the stuff he's talking about, it's like now, apply that to your current life where that television or the idea of television that he's talking about is in front of your face all fucking day. I mean, the whole point is that people are getting stupider. That is the point of all this technology, is so that we're easier to control.
Yeah.
And
So
it
that
like
all of this
affects
complicit-
your interest, it's not just like whatever's on the network, it's like specifically for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're creating our own little whatever's rotting our brain. We're creating it for ourselves.
Yeah.
which goes back to self-imposed,
Yeah.
societally imposed rules that everyone upholds, and like we're all part of it. This like I want to throw my phone in the trash at some point every day, but I won't, because then I'll be ostracized from society, which is a deep-seated horror that's baked into our lizard brain. Ostracization means death when we were living much simpler lives. You couldn't be ostracized from society because like on some level, any group of human beings, someone is going to be better at something else. There's going to be some level of specialization. So like it's a lot easier to kill a mammoth if there's 20 of you, all of whom are good at different things. So like you couldn't afford to be ostracized. Well, we still exist in that physical form. But now the idea of that is like, at least in American society, in Western society, is cell phones. Like you can't throw it in the trash, because then like, what will become of me?
Yeah. I mean, on top of that,
Right? Like
top of
Alex
that, we have
sent us info on Instagram.
You say what? What'd you say?
I said you send us information for the podcast on Instagram.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, it is impossible not to be engaged with it, especially if you're like making art or
Oh yeah, especially with art.
yeah.
Imagine trying to do music and promote shows and you don't.
It's
like,
impossible.
What do you do if you don't have social media?
You're gonna go hang flyers.
Physically go around hanging flyers.
I mean, you can and you should, but like you're really limiting yourself if that's all you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting too, though, because that means that it's almost like the area that it corrupts first is the art.
Yeah.
That's like the first thing to go.
Yeah, like it's like,
I think
well, it's possible to do it if
on
you're doing art.
purpose.
Yeah,
The arts and the sciences, like the controller talks about.
yeah, it's like that's the first thing that.
Yeah. Damn, that is the first thing to go.
Well, especially because like art, like, look, not exactly, but in a way, like if you're making art, you're not technically part of the production needed to move society forward. You're actually a big part of distracting people from production. You're certainly not the one producing. So like, in terms of communism or, this Huxley society, like art almost takes away from the end goal, which is the propagation of the society itself.
I would say for the most part, but then you have something like Brave New World where it's like that's keeping, it may not be progressing, but it's keeping us having these conversations in a small part is keeping it from regressing as much as it would. Like if Brave New World didn't exist, we would be slightly more regressed than we currently are.
Correct.
Is that? Yeah.
But so Huxley's almost like a whistleblower.
Yeah.
For some of these ideas that he was exposed to growing up, where he's not saying like, hey, everybody, watch out. He's just like, well,
Yeah.
This is
Well, like
what's
friction
going on.
maxing is a trend now, you know,
What is the trend now?
friction maxing, where people are
Yeah.
trying to like create more difficulty in their life just for the sake of having challenge.
That's real.
Although that does sound commodified.
Yeah, that's so funny because that's a thing in Brave New World where they like are craving hardship. It's like, yeah,
They're just gonna corporatize hardship. You'll just like go into your little box and you'll like experience challenge and then leave
Yeah.
your little box.
yeah,
It's
it'll be a subscription service.
Well, it's like Bill Hicks being like, the friction dollar, strong dollar, good dollar. We need to advertise to the friction people. They need friction in their lives. We need their dollars,
Yeah. Something else I'd like to talk about is I didn't expect it to be all like a coherent story, because it's like so far in this conversation we've talked about reality parallels and like predictions and sort of like a grander philosophy and message, but also it's a story, like it's a coherent story, and it's an interesting one because it follows different characters throughout it. Like you could kind of say that John is the main character, but John's not even introduced till like a third into the
Yeah,
book.
because you could say it's Bernard, but then Bernard starts as the main character like earlier on, and then it switches to John. John's like the focus,
Yeah.
like the second half.
Something Lazy was saying, we were talking about it yesterday,
Now it's my
is-
turn. I got the
is that the first half of the book, you don't really have John coming in as an outsider gives you someone to kind of relate to. I guess kind of what you're saying. I'm paraphrasing here, but
Yeah, I was saying I think it's interesting because they start off with the explanation of how they alter the eggs and everything. It's hard to get an idea of when they go into someone like Bernard or the two ladies talking or something, if they're outliers or if this is normal for them. Like you're not really given a clear baseline of what an average person in this world is actually like, because you're kind of introduced to this world as though they're not like you would be, since they're genetically and conditioned and all this stuff. You're not exactly given, well, what are they like? So it's kind of hard to identify with like, oh, like are they behaving that way because of the conditioning, or is this just, or is the commentary on how people behave naturally, or like what part is this? I think it's kind of until it gets further into the book, a little ambiguous.
yeah. There's in the conversation that the Savage has with the controller, I was also not anticipating that much like theological discussion. There was a lot of talk about religion and God, and that made me think of like Nietzsche and nihilism, where it's like God is dead. And at one point he's like, why if you he's asking the controller, if you know about God, why aren't you telling people about it? And he's like, well, that's God of the old world. And he's like, God doesn't change. And he's like, yeah, but people do. And basically the gist of what I got from that is he's saying there's no place for God here. God is what Fordism, they replaced thank Ford.
Yeah, they cut the cross and just left the teeth.
Yeah, I guess actually there is a religion. They have Ford, like they pray to Ford, they worship Ford.
This worship.
Well, think about like the idea of the assembly line.
Yeah.
That's kind of how they're produced too.
Or just being productive. I mean, the thing about that makes this book interesting, it's like we can call it a dystopia, but technically it's not a dystopia.
Correct.
Except in one thing, and it's like spiritualism. Like they're fulfilled in everything else. They don't suffer hunger, they don't suffer pain, they don't suffer this. The only thing they're lacking is spiritualism. And like it's funny how recently what was the name of that woman they were like holding in court asking about the Epstein files?
Oh, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, and she said the most Brave New World thing ever when confronted. Like she has all these victims behind her, and she's like, okay, but the stocks are up. Like,
Oh, you're talking about
And bonding.
and bonding.
Yeah,
And
what
her
did she-
legendary crash out.
where she screams like the
Stock market's up.
Yeah, the Dow. The
yeah, the
Dow.
Dow is up. The Dow is up. It's like, look how productive we are. Look, the Dow is up. Like completely ignoring the spiritual like malaise. That's like completely like
It's spiritually bankrupt.
yeah.
That was some very dystopian shit that we all witnessed.
Well, I think Alex I think I heard from you that was it the author that was saying it's not a dystopia, it's an unwanted utopia.
Yeah. Yeah. Which sounds pretty dystopian to me. It's like life without meaning is not life. Like you're just going through the motions. Like you're not, I don't,
Well, because spirituality, like at its core, evolved from the need to answer the question of like, why consciousness? Why life? Like,
Why pain?
Why? Okay, well, if they have no why, then there's nothing to question. Therefore, spirituality is not needed, at least in theory.
yeah.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. I, you didn't interrupt me. I didn't have, now I'm like, okay, what was I gonna say? I wasn't gonna say anything.
No, I mean, I think that like it's, thank Ford. It's like, okay, thank the idea of productivity and assembly. Thank, like they're,
Take the Dow.
yep.
I think the structure of the book is also very interesting because it starts off with the tour where the scientist explaining all this stuff. And I would say at that point, like there's no real there's not even a character exactly at that point that you're following because like we're kind of following a tour through a factory. But then I think this progresses throughout the book, but by the end of the book, it's very much about John individually and a very like personal story. So it's almost like it goes from the factory where there are people there, but it's not even really about people, to a John in the lighthouse where it's very much about a person and his internal struggle.
Yeah.
And I think I think if you follow the characters, it progressively gets there. So even though it's like it switches characters, that progress is a through line.
Well, because like it starts with like here's how the characters of this society are produced, right?
Yeah.
And like with John, because John is the one that grew up on the reservation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like
Yeah.
with John, like technically because of his mother, like he is a fairly far-reaching, far-removed product of this same society.
Yeah.
Now, an ostracized version of this society,
Yeah.
but he still is like an unwitting product of society who's like kind of had to live in both worlds.
Yeah, and see, there's like that. But even that part, when he's introduced, it's almost more about his mom,
Yes.
which means it has even more stuck from the society part of into the living with the natives. I think, and then he goes kind of switches to his perspective, where he's more detached, even though he's in the society, and then he finally leaves where it's just him. I think it's sort of like a progress to that. I also like that it starts with them explaining how the process of how people outside are born, and it ends with him killing himself.
Yep. That's interesting.
That reminds me too. This is not something that Huxley ever actually says, but we were talking about this yesterday, that John is allowed to go to London from the reservation, and he's given this permission, whereas like the people born and raised on the reservation would not be able to come into society. He's given special permission, and it's like, okay, well, he was born of a mother. He has an identical culture. He was raised on the reservation. So the only thing that makes John different than the people that were on the reservation is he's of a different race, basically. Like, it's kind of like it's very eugenics, right? Because it's like they allow John to come back and integrate into society. It's not clear that they would have done that for any of the natives.
I think my understanding of it is that part of that is the way that it's Bernard, right? That brings him back.
Yeah.
The way that Bernard is able to bring him back is that the combination of him and his mother is such a novelty to their society.
Mhm.
So it's not necessarily that they accept them as one of theirs so much as that they're so curious about this thing that is one of their people but didn't get conditioned because that's not something they're familiar with.
He's almost like a zoo attraction.
Yeah, he's like this attraction to them, like a zoo attraction, and kind of to what we were talking about earlier, because that whole society is so conditioned to be stupid and unquestioning, they don't really push back because they don't have. It's not like they have some master plan of why their society works the way it does to push back on that. Only the controller would understand that they shouldn't do that because it's potentially a threat. They don't even understand, like you said, they don't have a survival instinct.
Thing he doesn't prevent is him leaving with Hemlock, Helmholtz. That's the only thing he prevents. So what were you gonna say?
Well, again, I think like, yeah, I'm being a bit semantic. I'm sorry about that. But I think rather than stupidity, and I corrected this earlier too, like, I think it's ignorance, which I think is an important distinction, right? Like, I don't think the alphas are stupid. I think they're potentially very intelligent. That's part of the thing, but they're completely ignorant. It's like, I think Justin Bieber's a dipshit.
I keep
right?
thinking about stupid because the non-alphas. Why I keep thinking stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, the alphas aren't stupid exactly. But
Well, they're not even like they're almost
yeah, they're just ignorant.
They're kind of ignorant and
conditioned.
stupid.
yes.
Yeah.
But like they're supposed to be stupid. Like,
Yeah,
that is their role is to be stupid so that they can take out the fucking garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Being smart or like what would the opposite of ignorant be? Like educated? Yeah. I'm so ignorant.
Erudite.
Yeah. It wouldn't benefit them in their society.
No.
It would actually detriment them, like to be educated or intelligent.
Yeah, because then you don't want to scrub the fucking
Yeah.
walls of the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to do that because you're like, this is gross and pointless. You know, even though it's not, it's something super important. Like, things can't be dirty, then people get sick.
I will say though, I do think it is interesting that the alphas would be, I would think, less intelligent than even an average person in our culture, simply because of all the things surrounding them. That it's like, well, they don't exercise their mind
Sure.
Yeah. They
at
don't.
a baseline.
They
Like-
never practice
like-
critical thinking.
Yeah, like they never, like in their society, you're not supposed to think.
Well,
Like
like
the smartest person in their society couldn't, unless they were going against their society, would not be very smart because they don't think.
Well, like extrapolate that from us, like all of your ancestors, Lazy,
Oh yeah.
to some extent, on some level, some point in history, were fucking savage warriors. That's why you're sitting here,
Yeah.
right? So, like, by that same logic, like, you could make the argument that people 5,000 years ago, on some level, had to use more, certainly different parts of the brain than we do. You know what I mean?
I absolutely agree.
So it's like,
No, I think the benefit we have now is access to information, but I don't
Yes.
think we're smarter. We just have more information that we have access
Yeah.
to.
Something I talk to people about a lot is while we are seeing, like David brought up earlier, the current generations are experiencing a decline on like test results. Like that is largely because of a lack of education. Our education system sucks.
an instant gratification
Yeah.
on every level.
But the part I think is not discussed enough is it's also because we're poisoned and full of toxins.
Yep.
There's environmental factors that are making people weak and dumb. And that none of us are immune to this. So back to your point, it's like, yeah, people 5,000 years ago, we like on our ivory tower, like to think that we're smarter or more advanced than they are. And it's like, we're all stupid and weak compared to those people. But even going back like 200 years,
Yep.
like those are people way stronger and more well equipped.
I actually think the book actually kind of points that out kind of eloquently with the discussions that the savage has with his mom as opposed to with the natives. Where he's like, yeah, she knows all these things, but she can't explain. They don't make any sense, but she can't explain what are you even talking about? Because you can't explain where any of that comes from.
Exactly.
The natives, the stuff they explain to him, they know the whole process. So
Yeah.
like, so who actually knows? So he's like, his mom kind of seems like she doesn't really know what she's talking about, and they're the actual wise one.
Isn't a thing in I think this is like an engineering thing. I can't remember where I heard this before, but basically you don't understand something unless you can explain it in layman terms, right?
Yeah.
No.
If you can't explain this in a way that's coherent to someone that doesn't know anything about it, then you don't actually understand it.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. We can kind of start winding down here. That's pretty much all I had. I mean, definitely don't want to cut the conversation short if anyone wants to bring up anything.
No, the only thing I have, my favorite scene was after John's mom dies, he's freaking out. He starts like a fist fight or whatever, and then Helmholtz comes in and he starts swinging with him too. Like I thought he was super cool. He was my favorite character.
Yeah, after talking to you about it earlier, I feel like that's probably the best character.
I mean John, because for obvious reasons too. But what I like about this guy is that he's trying to escape his conditioning, but like because he's like I think even the controller says it's because you're looking for beauty. Like he's an actual artist who wants to make actual art.
He was raised in it and successfully broke the mold.
Yeah.
Whereas John wasn't raised in it, so he didn't have that conditioning. Helmholtz.
Yeah, Helmholtz, something like that.
He was able to successfully break out of the conditioning, basically just by reading Shakespeare.
Yeah, do you think Huxley might have been a fan of Shakespeare?
No, definitely not.
I mean, I feel like it could have been any classic literature. The point is, it's something that had meaning or whatever. We were just never exposed to that.
Yeah, I also like that.
The irony is, as far as I'm aware, Shakespeare was considered kind of trashy in its time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
it's
but
sort of
compare that to the Feelies, though.
Oh, speaking of that, when he first opens Shakespeare, he doesn't understand the words, but the words tickle his brain and make him feel something, even though he doesn't understand what he's reading. And I thought that part was cool. Also, in the conversation at the end with the controller, John has all these questions about God and religion, and he's like, "Well, here's the Bible. You haven't even heard of this," but his only frame of reference is Shakespeare for this theological conversation. And I'm not very well versed on Shakespeare, but from the way that conversation went, there's not a lot to go on, but there was still enough that they could kind of have a conversation about it. Anyone got any other thoughts about it?
Thanks for reading this, you guys.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude, thanks so much for recommending it.
One of my favorite books. I just think the whole, the whole idea is just it's so poignant. I would imagine through every iteration of modern society, you find new ways for it to make more and more sense. And I think that speaks to like a truly transcendent work of art, is that when it becomes more and more relevant as time goes on, even though at the time it was in its own way topical.
Yeah.
Like Life of Brian, right?
I love it.
Yeah. Like, what did the Romans ever do for us? Besides sanitation and wine and safety and peace, organization. Other than that, what did the Romans ever, it's just, but it's like, that keeps getting more and more poignant, just like this book keeps getting more and more poignant as time goes on. And I think that really speaks to,
Also, I would say also one thing I really appreciate about this book is it doesn't seem like it tries to tell you that they're wrong or that there's a better alternative. It just presents it to you and trusts you as to think about it yourself and understand it.
I do have a final thought, actually.
Yeah.
And I forget the name of the TV host, which I should have written down, but TV show in the 50s, Alice Huxley is talking, like 1958, 59. Alice Huxley is talking to this TV host who's talking to him about this book. And the guy says something I found to be just like horrifying. And he said, to your point, it's made me think of this, where he's like, he says to Huxley, like, do you think that society should be free? Do you think we need freedom? Right? And Huxley's like, well, yeah, yes, I'd like to think we do. But to your point of like, he's not trying to tell you one way or another. In this interview, it was kind of the same thing where like Aldous Huxley wasn't saying like, hey, this is good or this is bad. This is just how it's going to go.
Yeah.
He showed rather than tell.
Yeah.
It's like,
There's
like you
positive
take a
aspects.
writing class, it's like one of the first things you learn is don't tell the reader, show them. And I think Huxley did a really good job of that.
Yeah.
He laid out the idea without telling you what his beliefs are. You can extrapolate what, obviously Huxley has some opinions,
Yes.
and it's obvious that he does, but he's showing you these concepts rather than explaining them to you.
Beating you about the head.
Yeah.
Right. Like I forget a lot of the names, but like the philosophies have always and will always stick with me in like a very profound fashion where like it's what some of my music is written about. I mean, it's just like, you know, the ideas of the book were very important to me as opposed to like some of the story that you were talking about. But I honestly just forget. My dumbass didn't reread it because I'm busy.
Yeah.
But I love this book. Hux is awesome.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Going once? Going twice? Sold. Catch When Existing, March
March
7th.
7th. Yep.
At the basement.
The basement. OG basement, not the basement east, OG basement.
OG basement. It's an early show, starts at 7.
Yep.
So yeah.
Come hang.
I'll see all of y'all there. And March 21st, Cassette Stress with their return. Oh, and where was that at, Hyatt?
That's at the end.
The end.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then also new music coming out, you said in a day or two, right?
Yeah, I got one coming out tomorrow and another in well those are some song those are songs we played out, but the new stuff a lot of new stuff will be playing at the March show. So
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
yeah.
Looking forward to it. And then Bunny Roo, April 3rd, East Side Bowl, 58 room, directly to the left when you walk in. That's a Friday night.
Hell yeah, dude. That's April 4th. Yeah.
April 3rd.
April 3rd.
Yeah. My birthday's 4th, but scheduling, we couldn't get that room on a Saturday. So
Where is it?
East Side Bowl in
Oh.
the 58 room.
5 whole minutes from our house. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Next month we'll be reading On the Road, recommended by Liz Collins, also of Cassette Stress.
Nice.
We'll be doing that. The author, does anyone know the author's name? I can't remember.
Jack Kerouac?
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. Jack Kerouac.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing next month. American novel. I don't know. It's like Americana kind of thing. I don't know that much about it, but looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's set in the earlier mid 50s. All these people just getting on the road, but kind of trying to find meaning in this, sort of conformist post-war world.
Gotcha. That sounds fun. Well, yeah, I'll see y'all next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, y'all.